Hello, romance readers. Welcome to Illicit Liaisons with Tender and Tempting Tales, where each week we talk about the good, the bad, and the naughty of romance fiction. I am Jenna Harte, romance author of the Southern Heat contemporary romance series and of the Sexy Valentine mysteries. And I'm also the managing editor of Tender and Tempting Tales, a romance anthology for people who like romantic quickies.
And hi, I'm Tara Leederman, social media manager here at Tender and Tempting Tales and lore maven for Starship Valkyrie, a science fiction game and story universe. I write science fiction stories, including romance, and you can often find me in our anthologies and on Substack.
And today we're very excited because we have B from Mama Needs to Read Romance, who I've been watching for a long time. B is a booktuber and bookstagrammer who enjoys romance novels, especially contemporary and historical. And of course, we're going to have links to all of B's links, particularly your YouTube channel, as well as any other books or resources we mention on the show. They will be in the show notes. B, thank you so much for being here and chatting with us about books today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been really looking forward to this, and I just can't wait to talk about all the bookish news with you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get started because Tara and I do like to talk about bookish news, drama, all of it. We love
Oh,
it.
yes.
Uh, Recently, there are news with this week is, and I know you've done videos on this, was that Harlequin had announced that they are going to end their historical line. They've stopped taking submissions, and the last books will come out in 2027. And I know you recently had an
Unboxing.
and here they're
Yes.
saying to us by in 2027, the last set of books will go out. We know there's a lot of people like you that still enjoy historical drama. It's sort of interesting to me with the popularity of things like Bridgerton and
Yeah.
period dramas. We have new reboots of Jane Austen stories
Yeah.
coming out, new Pride and Prejudice, new Sense and Sensibility. So it's striking to me that this would be ending. It's going to impact a lot of authors on that, and of course, readers. And we're just curious, like, what your take on this whole thing is.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently, I got to see Joanna Shupe in a talk, which was lovely. She also writes as Mila Finelli for Mafia Romance, but she's primarily known, at least in my circles, for historical romance. And she was saying that they've done research that the popularity of the shows, for example, in historical romance isn't the silver bullet that historical romance authors was hoping that it would be. It doesn't translate directly from, oh, we want to watch the show too, we want to read the books. Right
Mhm.
now, all the hype is primarily for romantasy. I mean, that's like the biggest thing going on right now, especially in romance and publishing. So people are starting to go that way. Even historical romance authors are starting to go that way. But it's been interesting to see, and there's a show that is set during the Gilded Age. It might even be called the Gilded Age, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we would
because
say.
Joanna Shupe writes primarily Gilded Age, she was hopeful, and this is, I think, where she started her own research, that maybe the Gilded Age show would translate into more Gilded Age reading interest, and it really hasn't. So you make
No.
a great point. I mean, we're seeing a lot of twists, different takes on Jane Austen, and obviously, again, Bridgerton season 4 coming out, but it's just not translating to the wide publishing of historical romance right now, unfortunately.
Didn't Downton Abbey lead to a lot of interest in Edwardian romance in the
Yes.
teens?
Yes, absolutely. And
Weird.
again, what's so interesting though too is we don't see much Edwardian romance except for like the more dramatic. A lot of the Christian authors that I speak with or inspirational authors, they tend to veer towards Edwardian, but I am not really seeing that much at all in like the more spicy historicals. And it's interesting. I had a conversation with Kate Bateman, who I adore. She's been writing historical romance for a very long time. She started out indie, then she was picked up by St. Martin's, I believe, and St. Martin's did not renew her contract, unfortunately. But she and some other authors have echoed the sentiment that there's been sort of a boxing in of, you can't really veer away from the Regency era, which is only 9 years long. It's
My
amazing
God.
how
Yeah.
much is written within the Regency, primarily because of, Austen and all of that. But many authors are actually excited or they're turning lemons into lemonade by moving more indie because they can do more of what they want. Whereas, there was just the strong push for Regency, maybe Victorian, but, there just wasn't much else that they could do within the wide world of publishing, the popular publishers like Avon and Berkeley and things like that.
That's disappointing, especially considering how popular 18th century romance was for a really long time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and where have those readers gone? Like a publisher wants to make money, and if they are getting rid of a line like Harlequin, or any other publisher decides we're not going to publish, like where did those readers go?
Many of them went to romantasy or contemporary romance.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think another thing that we're seeing too is a lot of the publishing is happening in print, and nowadays people are getting their what they're reading, what they're reading in so many other areas, like on their Kindle or their e-reader, audiobooks, things like that. So people just weren't physically buying, like for example, mass market paperbacks, which I know I'm going slightly off topic here, but those were so frequently historical romance or romance novels, and now those aren't even being made anymore. They stopped making them at the end
Yeah.
of 2025. So
Yeah, it seems like a lot of printing is really like the same books being printed over and over again in different special editions with sprayed edges and stuff. And it's a lot of romantasy books. It's like fourth edition of this thing with this new cover. Like they're trying to get more and more money out of this smaller and smaller group of authors and readers.
yeah,
Well,
it's
there
an
are readers who do that, right? I've heard of readers ordering their books from England because they have a different cover than that is here. And they might have the same book with five different covers.
Yeah.
yes. Yes. Is it Blackstone? That's not it.
Yeah,
Is it
I
Blackstone?
think that's it. Yeah.
There was one author who's historical romance who I adore. She actually just found out that her contract wasn't renewed, despite the fact that she was planning two more books in the series. She was really frustrated because she's also writing paranormal romance, and they only wanted to put it out in hardback. And she knew that this was going to really impact her sales. This was before, I feel like sprayed edges became a real thing recently. But here, and actually getting back to your original question, because I feel like I've taken us off course. I'm
That's
so
okay.
It happens all the time. It's
um,
okay.
Yep.
Harlequin is known for very trope heavy, short and sweet, like you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And more and more, it's interesting. Readers will say, we want a short story, we want a quick fix, we want, something we can pop in our pocket. But what the sales are telling the people in the industry is that readers want an experience. They want fully immersive. This is also where, as you were just saying, Tara, we're getting the sprayed edges, we're getting the special editions. Like people don't want just to read something quick and be like, I want a nice Duke in 200 pages. I want to live in this. I want to look at it on my shelves. I want the full blown experience. And so a quick 200-page Harlequin with the title like Her Forbidden Duke for the 20th time.
That's right.
I'm not knocking it. I love Harlequin historicals, but there's
Yeah.
a time and place for them. It's just not selling. And Harlequin's even said they're not getting rid of the rest of their lines. I mean, they're putting out roughly 5 to 6 books in all of their other lines still. But the Harlequin historicals are not selling. So what they're doing is they're ending in, I want to say September or October of 2027.
Mhm.
And that is because they're upholding the contracts that they've already got, but they're not renewing.
I'm
So
Right.
surprised they're not pivoting, honestly.
say
Well,
again.
you have
I'm
so
surprised
many
they're not
lines
pivoting.
already.
If I were them and I knew what the trend was, I would probably go to fewer of them and do book boxes and special editions and make it more of an experience. Ask people if they want to subscribe to a Harlequin historical book box and send people teacups and stickers and whatever else they want for their
Yeah.
experience and go whole hog
Yes.
That would
Yeah.
be fun. That would be
if it were
fun.
me.
But
But
they
Yeah.
have other
why not?
lines. Was it 2 years ago they brought in, and I can't remember the names of the lines, but they brought in a line that was just for the TikTok readers, right? It was new adult type, and it's what can they make money on? They know their system works. People are buying the book boxes, ordering
Yeah.
them every month, or
Yeah.
they're walking into Walmart or bookstore and grabbing them off the shelf there, whatever's inside the store. So
Looking forward to Harlequin Romantasy.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that is the thing you wonder, like, is the next line gonna be a romantasy line, right? Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that, but that's Tara, you're brilliant.
Thank you.
If they open a new line, I would put money on that being the new line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harlequin, make me an offer. You can't afford me. I like Tender and Tempting Tales.
I had a book sit Harlequin for almost 2 years. And by 2 years, I mean like 23 months. And it was there forever. And that's when I got an agent. And I was like, can you contact them and tell them
To
buy
look
my
at
book
your
or don't,
back.
like,
Go dig in
yeah.
the back for it, please.
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't know if you know, but when you're an author and you're trying to go the trad route, you have to sit and wait. And they
Mm,
really frown on multiples. And I got caught up in all these so you think you can write things like year after year or whatever they did it. I was caught up
Wow.
and got put, oh, it made me crazy. Anyway, me. I can't remember when I found you. I want to say it was during COVID, and I've always enjoyed your YouTube
thank
because,
you.
you're very entertaining. You are always positive about books, even if you don't love them. Actually, I think you have a 6-star setting instead of the 5 stars. Some of
Yeah.
them have extra stars.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that. And I actually recently watched your spicy level video,
Oh,
which
right.
I got a kick out of because as a publisher, we have spice levels, but everybody sort of sees it different. I
Oh,
feel
Yeah.
like
yes.
we were on a similar line. So ours are like medium and up.
Well, right.
You
And
need to
that's
share your video for people when they ask us, what do you mean by this? Because I think
Yeah.
that would really help. We always have people asking, it's like, okay, just go watch B's video.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun. But I guess my question is, obviously you're an avid reader, you love romance. What made you decide to like go on the internet and start talking about romance books?
Oh my gosh. Well, I fell in love with, for example, Crystal of Crystal's Bookish Life, Christy of Christy Reads a Lot. And at the time, I was watching a lot of their videos. They got me into reading romance, which really just saved me. I was a stay-at-home mom. Obviously, it was also during COVID. And, I have 3 kids, 2 of whom are special needs. And I had been a teacher, so I was able to sort of I don't know, channel that into different things. Before COVID, I was a homebound teacher for children who weren't medically able to go to school, and I was able to sort of channel all of that energy in those directions through education and things like that. And once COVID hit, and it was just a lot of pressure, and my older 2 children were both used to having entire teams of people, and then all of a sudden it was just me for all 3 of them, and one was a newborn, and
Oh,
anyway. It was a lot.
bless you.
And I found myself really finding such a beautiful escape in these beautiful romance books because initially I was going on like People magazine and I was like, what are you reading? What are they reading? But so often they would leave a bad taste in my mouth. And I realized what I needed the most were happy endings. And so I started going on YouTube and finding recommendations of people that I knew had similar tastes to me. And so I started talking with them, and then some of them did a video like Jess of Peace Love Books, Tiffany of Tiff Talks Pages, Tori of Novel Life, Cheyenne, That Tall Book Girl, that whole crew were like, they did a video about like why you should make a channel. Don't wait, don't hesitate. And I was like, I want to do this because I would finish the book and I'd want to talk about it. And I'd look around and there's no one to talk about this with.
Yeah.
So it became an incredible outlet. And I'm going to tell you something that you already know, which is the romance community is the best community in the world.
It's true. Yeah.
There's not a day that goes by that I'm not uplifted and encouraged by either the things that I read, the authors that I speak to, the publishers that I talk with, the people in our community, like the viewers. I mean, they're my friends. And I honestly don't know how I would have stayed sane the last 6 years had it not been for the romance books, authors, community, etc.
Yeah.
So that's how that started.
It's
Yeah.
wild that you say that you taught special needs kids and everything. And like I feel like every time I meet people in the romance community, they're like saints. It's like people who are social workers, former
Yes.
social workers, teachers, stay-at-home moms. It's just like everyone is saintly. I don't feel saintly enough to be in this community sometimes.
No. I see your wings, Tara. I
Yeah.
see the fluttering behind you. But
Cleaning up
one of the
puddles of
wonderful
pee in my house from my toddler.
But that's part of what romance is so good about, and I think that's why it resonates with so many people who are in similar work positions to me. And what you just mentioned is there's something about unconditional love and acceptance and seeing a person, flaws and all, and realizing how incredibly valuable each individual is and how they can be upheld and uplifted through romance and within the community. I mean, I think that's probably why you're seeing so many of us, because like it's just, we're all just sort of there encouraging each other and lifting one another up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
goes
And
along
it's
with it.
great that people are talking about romance because when I was coming up, if you read romance, you sort of kept it under the hood, right? People look at, even today, they still look at you funny because somehow
Yes.
love is bad, right? You wouldn't call your spouse frou frou and all the things that people say about romance fiction, but they say that about the romance genre. But today, so many people talking about it. I really enjoyed COVID. I also watched TikTok and all, particularly Millennial and Z women just out there gushing
Yes.
and this book broke me. And I just thought that was so great because my generation didn't do that. I mean, the authors I knew who didn't want anybody to know they were writing it. Now
Right.
it's such a
Yeah.
great thing that we can talk about it. And if people
Yeah.
poo-poo it, well, poo-poo on them, right?
Right. Well,
I mean, I even
exactly.
noticed that like on like Instagram, Bookstagram for romance, it's so much more positive than any other genre. Like I just noticed that the romance writers there are much more positive with each other for the most part. It really stands out when someone is not extremely
Mm,
positive. Although, I mean,
absolutely.
I'm a captive audience on social media as our social media manager, and I was just wondering because you're also a bookstagrammer and a booktube. I was just wondering what you thought about like the changes over the last 8 or 9 months as there's been like a higher influx of AI, and I think writers have been doing a lot more to try to get attention. I was just wondering what you thought about all that, like your take on what you've seen.
Absolutely. Well, I will preface this with I'm not always the best person to ask that sort of thing because with drama sort of baked into my life, I tend to avoid that. And it's funny, my audience is aware of that. I'll even say like, I encourage you to check out so and so, because for me, I feel like my platform is always going to be primarily about being uplifting and encouraging. And although I am always interested, I do want to hear it. But it's been interesting from like an educational standpoint, if you will. I've done some research into how AI is changing YouTube in general, and it's interesting that YouTube actually will scan transcripts now of every video that's being published, whether it's BookTube or not, and it will actually see whether or not the person who's created the video is putting out something new or something that's going to be attention grabbing.
Yeah.
And if it's not, YouTube does not promote it as highly.
Mm.
It kind of sifts down to the bottom of the pile or floats down very quickly. The other thing that I think is difficult because you wouldn't be surprised to know that Bookstagram and especially BookTube is oversaturated with booktubers. Everybody who reads and wants to talk about books, there's quite a few of us, hundreds of thousands at least. Um, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought, what I was going to say. Um, oh, so people are not flocking to YouTube and even Instagram as much as they were. It's sort of interesting when you talk about readers wanting to flock to longer and wider experiences within reading, bigger books and things like that, where in people who want to grab information quickly are actually going the opposite route. And ChatGPT is frequently replacing now YouTube and Instagram rather than going
Uh,
onto your YouTube channel to see
no.
like how to do something or what's the top 10 of this or that.
Mhm.
You'll just go to ChatGPT and say, tell me what the top books are right now, or tell me
Oh.
you know. So it's been interesting because I've been veering more towards like they call it edutainment, which I love
Mm.
that term. But I love to I'm curious to learn more about the history of historical romance and the entertainment or the educational aspect of that. One of my best videos recently that did really, really well had to do with the timeline of historical romances from the medieval era to the Edwardian period.
Oh,
And
awesome.
yeah, and because I wasn't even sure of the difference between Regency and Victorian. And I
Oh.
thought, you know what? I want to learn. And that video resonated so much more. Like it was crazy the spike that happened with that. And people are saying, I want to see far more of that. And I was all about that. So I'm sorry, I don't know that I'm answering your question very well. I
No, it's
know that
great. You're
I know
doing
that
it's great.
negativity definitely, perks people's interest. And so that's going to
Yeah.
sell. But yes, in terms of AI, I know that people are, always concerned about how that's going to replace things. And yeah, as I said, people are starting to gravitate towards, for example, Chat GPT instead of hopping on YouTube, for example, to see, you know, what's popular.
No,
Because
I'm glad to hear that because you're doing what we were doing, was you're looking for another way to add value to your content for people to
yes,
come to you, not just book recommendations. If they're going to ChatGPT for book recommendations, you have information about historical romance and different time periods and stuff for them to still have like value from your content. And that's what we've been doing as well. It's why we started the podcast back up again and why we've been doing articles on Substack, like trying to provide something to people other than just buy a book. Please buy a book. We have books. Would you like books?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the tricky thing because the two things that you can't, well, the one thing I think that you can't get from AI is the personality. And
Mhm.
so, as each of us is aware, doing what we do, you can only be yourself, and
Mhm.
hope that the people that appreciate that will find you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
been lovely for me. So that's one thing is to make sure your personality shines, but then the other, like you said, adding value. I'm always asking myself, like the main question is, how can I contribute to this community? And
Yeah.
if I don't feel like I'm contributing something that 10 other people aren't already doing, I'm going to try to swerve a little bit and try something else. And so far, going in a slightly different angle of, the history elements, learning new things and sharing that with my viewers, that's really seemed to resonate. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited about going forward in that direction.
Well, I was saying you might like our podcast with Annie because we talked a ton about 18th century romance, like actual romances from the period. Annie and I did my PhD in 18th century literature, so the two of us were just bouncing back and forth of like, have you read Belinda? Oh my God, Mariah Edgeworth. It was a good time. You might like
I'm
that
gonna
too.
have to. Yes. Oh, I can't wait. I want to
Was
hear
like,
all
we
it. I
could
want to
have
hear it.
Tara on to talk about all the history because I think she said, out of our post, she says Pamela could be the first romance out there that we would, as readers, would recognize as a romance. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Samuel Richardson's
okay, I guess
Pamela.
I better pick up that book.
Yes. Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
Jenna,
Very
you would be
cool.
so mad at Pamela. I gotta tell you right now, you'd be
Oh,
so
good.
mad at
Okay.
Pamela. Oh, she's yeah. What? Tell me after you read it. I will be very entertained by that.
Well, I might read one of the other ones first. So
You will love Evelina. You would
Evelina,
love
okay.
Evelina so much.
Yeah.
How
So many
cool.
books. Yeah. If you go to that podcast, B, we have a list of all the books they mentioned, and you could tell me how many of them you've ever heard of. Because most, Wuthering Heights, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, very cool. How exciting. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, but if you ever wanted I don't know, a list of just 18th century and early 19th century romances, I could probably give you one if you wanted like a place to start.
Yeah.
Love it.
Beyond like the Bronte sisters, beyond Jane Austen type.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh, so
Yeah.
cool.
Also, I know that this was a space of research for you, but I was wondering if you could talk to us about like your thoughts on, I mean, we were talking about AI earlier, about AI narration. I know that it's an accessibility tool for some folks, and but it's also like replacing audiobook actors. I'm just wondering what you thought about that.
Yes. Well, I would definitely differentiate or distinguish between what was the term you just used? Something about a tool, not an auditory
Oh,
tool.
accessibility tool.
Accessibility,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, accessibility tool. I would differentiate between the accessibility tool and then like just general AI narration. An
Yeah.
accessibility tool is more, I think, of like talk to text or,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a more robotic type
Mhm.
of thing. And that absolutely is super helpful. I have friends who have vision issues,
Mhm.
and it really helps them access certain things that don't have audiobooks.
Yeah,
But
same.
I've been thinking a lot about the fact that AI narration is really becoming a thing. Like the other day, and this is what made me think of it, I listened to Teresa Medeiros' Yours. Oh my gosh, Forever Yours. Never mind. It doesn't matter. I was listening to an audiobook by Teresa Medeiros. It's an older one, didn't have narration, but it had AI narration. So Audible was able to sell that to me.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Yes. And the thing is, and I thought, well, in a way, this is good because I was not going to have time to read this book with my eyeballs. Like I needed to be able to listen to this book. And I have done the accessibility options on, for example, my Kindle with some of the arcs that I've gotten where like I'm folding laundry and but it's kind of painful sometimes to listen to that. So now the AI
Yeah.
narration I found to be pleasant. It was like a pleasant British voice, female
Mhm.
British voice. And but it didn't have any of the style. It didn't have the drama. It didn't have the emotion, even during the more emotional parts. So I thought, okay, this couldn't replace currently, it couldn't hold a candle to real narrators that I love. Now, the fearful part is that certainly it could, I'm sure someday, AI is always, evolving. So, anyway, the good is we're getting books that we wouldn't necessarily get to experience that have never been narrated. The bad part of that is, yes, that does concern me in terms of narrators who I love potentially having their jobs taken away from them, or narrators who are just trying to start out who aren't even going to be able to get their foot in the door. That's probably the bigger problem because, like, you name your big narrators, they're probably going to be fine.
Yeah,
They're
the
not
big
going to
boys.
be impacted, but it's like the newer up and comers who would do a beautiful job voice acting these incredible novels that may never get to because, and I hate to say this because I started researching this. I feel like I need to do more because I was going to do a video on it and I feel like I want to do more research first, but I can tell you Amazon is courting publishing companies who adopt AI narrators. They're
Mm.
pushing AI narration and they're rewarding companies who are adopting AI narration. And as we all know, Amazon is really responsible for so much of, being the tastemakers in terms of what's going on with anything regarding publishing.
Yeah.
So it does concern me.
Yeah.
Good and
It's
I
bad.
funny.
I
Parrish,
haven't
one of our
re
editors, did he like to put like a few minutes of his one of his stories into one of the AI narration things, just trying to create something. And one thing
Mm,
he said was that like the ROI on it was really not there. Like it took him forever just to get it to sound good. And I
mm,
think it depends on what it is, right? Like the stuff he writes is kind of sci-fi romance, kind of romantasy with a lot of strange words. So he had to go in and do a lot of like tweaking and stuff. So this might be an issue for romantasy with a lot of like weird words in it and like weird names that it might
yeah.
take a lot of work to try to go back in and get the AI to say things correctly. But then there's also like readers' reactions to it. Like I feel like even if Amazon pushes it, a lot of readers might react really negatively to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's one thing to go in and poke a button in Amazon and it automatically narrates your book. There's
Mhm.
going to be issues, but there are tools out there that authors are able to use where they have a little bit more control of that. They can do a multicast, for example, and they have a little bit more control over the sound, even the inflection. So the question has to do with what about these narrators? My understanding is that there are some narrators who are licensing their voices, but
Mm,
I don't know how widespread that is, and I don't know how that works, right? Like if I pick Joe from Piscopo, how
Mhm.
much does he get paid to do the guy who fills up the tank and when they get gas? Like,
yeah.
there might be one piece of dialogue or something, right?
Right.
So I don't know how it works, but it's AI. This whole thing is just another example of our technology gets ahead of us
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
we fully thought through what are the ramifications, good and bad, right?
Absolutely.
We just see good. Oh, look what I can do at a poke of a button, but we
Hmm.
don't recognize how it can impact
Yeah.
people. And of course, around the writing industry, narrators, editors, there's a lot of people who are highly impacted by that.
And I
Yeah.
have to say, on the other side of the coin again, and I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying because I do have concerns. Many of the authors I've spoken to are indie authors.
Yeah.
And some of them, it's so funny. Before I even started talking to authors, before I was really into books, I assumed that every author, that's what they did for a living. They got up, they didn't have other jobs, like they
Nope.
drank a cup of coffee and typed beautifully for a little while and then published a book and, that was it,
Lonely.
right? And then you learn, like you start talking to people, and one woman in particular, I adore her. She's one of my favorite indie authors. And she said that her hope is to break even
Yeah.
as an author because she puts so much of her own money into publishing and she pays narrators thousands of dollars to
Expensive. Yeah.
perform.
Yeah.
And then there's, and I don't know that you want to get into this. I'm going to bring it up, and if we can gloss right over it, because man, this is something I had heard about in terms of AI and scandal, but the book covers
Mm,
Yeah.
book
with
covers.
the AI book cover. They'll some of my favorite authors will pay artists again hundreds or thousands of dollars for these gorgeous covers. And these poor authors aren't making any money. I mean, they're
Mhm.
losing money to get their work out there. And so my heart goes out to them. And those that want to use AI to support their work, I get it, you know?
Yeah, it
Um,
sort of goes back. Remember when we were talking about Harlequin and they're ending
yes.
a line because they're not making money. They are a publisher who's all about making money. You're an author, you are a business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're told you have to have all these things. So the option is no audio, which we know is selling really well. We know,
Yes.
especially influencers like you. There's only so much you can sit and have your eyeballs on a book, but you can listen
Exactly.
to a book while you're taking the kids wherever, or folding the laundry, like you said. And so a lot of times it comes down to a business issue, but unfortunately for indie authors, that can go badly for them.
Yeah.
In terms of the covers or in terms of the narration. It's really a struggle. And there's
Yes.
some authors out there that are just bold and they're like, yep, I did it. And a lot of authors that are just like fingers crossed they don't get caught. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because you don't go into writing books to become rich. Are there rich authors? Yes. Are there rich indie authors? Yes. But the vast majority, like you said, are going in the hole or coming
Yeah.
out even maybe if they're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one
So
thing that Parrish and I talk about is whether this item would exist or not exist, right? So like for instance, if you are posting to Substack every day and you're posting like a portion of a chapter, Substack will promote you if you have an image associated with that. And if you create a little AI image just to create like a little illustration, you are helping your writing that you wrote that's not AI get seen because of Substack's algorithm. And people
Mhm.
might say like, well, but you could have had an illustrator make that for you. And it's like, well, an indie author's not going to pay an illustrator to make that for them. It's not possible. So they might make something in Canva. That's what I do. Or they might have
yep.
AI put something nice together for them. If you're not particularly good at Canva, if you didn't do 7 years of art like I did, you might want to just have AI make something nice for you to get people's attention so that they come and read your actual writing. And like this is not something that would exist otherwise. This is not something you would go pay someone to go make for you necessarily. Like if you don't have the money to make it, it's not going to exist. It's the same thing for audiobooks, right? Like there's a lot of authors who just don't have the money to make an audiobook. And I do see
Yeah.
a lot of readers demanding it, saying like, when are you going to have an audiobook? And I don't think that they understand how much money it is. And I think readers often demand things that without knowing how much they cost or how much time they take. And are
Yeah.
like, well, you could just pay someone to
Or
do that.
maybe thinking authors are making money hand over fist.
Right.
Surely they can afford it. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can tell you that's what I thought. I was like, it's their
Yeah.
job. And
Mhm.
now everybody works together. They all get paid. It works out great. I had
Right.
no idea how it worked.
I remember watching an episode of Bones where her publisher bought her a car or something. And I was like, how did Kathy Reichs let that, like, did her publisher buy her a car?
Yes, yeah.
Like,
Or like
That's
Castle,
what
the
we all
show Castle, where
think.
he's like rich.
Castle. Yeah.
Everyone thinks that we're just like riding around in limos and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
getting
Yes,
our nails
Yeah.
done.
I
yes.
love it.
Thinking
I
about your
love
next
it.
book.
But I remember when I started writing thinking someday that'll be it. And yeah, no.
Yeah, oh my
So,
gosh, I tell you.
well, as you know, we started publishing a series of anthologies. We next week have actually a little kind of easing going out that has a couple short stories and feature articles. And this sort of started because I went to an event. I love going to events, and they in my swag bag I had Ellery Queen and like Isaac Asimov, and I was like, why is there no magazines like that for romance? Because like I'd read that, right? And so somehow that morphed into this where we have these anthologies. One of the interesting thing is readers are changing. They're reading serialized fiction. They're buying authors through Patreon or whatever. We're seeing that Amazon now offers their short stories. But anthologies is sort of something that we're discovering. Okay, this is a little bit different to get out there. And even myself, I was like, well, when was the last time I read an anthology? Like here I am, like you're gonna love all these short little quickie stories. You want to You want a quick little romance with a little spice, little steam? Awesome.
Yeah.
We got that for you. I'm just curious, being a reader and a book person, what is the best way to reach readers in terms of letting them know, hey, we've got these shorts for you to read when you only have a little bit of time, or what would attract a reader to that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I believe that what I've experienced, readers love anthologies that are tied especially to seasons,
Mhm.
holidays, things like that, a particular theme or a trope. If they're in the mood for, cowboy romances or alien romances or, as I said, like a theme or like a holiday, obviously, I feel like every year I always talk to people that want to do like their holiday novella-thons and they want to do, I always try to read at least two Christmas anthologies, historical
Mhm.
romance Christmas anthologies a winter, because it's fun and it's a neat way to experience various authors too that you wouldn't have experienced otherwise. So I
Yeah.
tend, and what my viewers tend to do is grab an anthology because it has a season or a theme that they're interested in, but also maybe it has an author or two that they know, and then they'll give the other ones a shot as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've been hoping that we would more do more like headliners and stuff because I think that if we have headliners, we're more likely to grab people from amongst those folks, and then it can filter down. But we've
Mm,
been doing we've been doing like summer anthologies, which I think do pretty well. Two of ours are summer anthologies, and then we have the winter anthology, Midnight Mischief and Mistletoe. And the zines are based around tropes and like smaller subcategories of romance. So like the next one coming is Enemies to Lovers Romantasy, which is going to be pretty fun. Like people seem to love that, so I thought that would do pretty
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Oh
Or
my
one
gosh.
coming out Monday is Pause and Peril. So it's romantic suspense, but it has to have a dog in it. And the dog can't die, right?
Okay,
Like,
that.
No,
because it is romantic
nothing.
suspense, right? So, but yeah, no dead dogs. No dogs were
Definitely
harmed in the
not.
creation of this.
It's a very important rule.
Yeah,
That is yes. In fact,
yeah.
I think you're describing about half of the Harlequins that I've seen on the shelf right now, either through the suspense line, the intrigue line, and then the love inspired ones. They pretty much all have a dog, and nothing's going to happen to that dog. Nothing better happen to those dogs.
No, yeah, yeah,
But
nope.
it's got a bunch of featurettes and stuff in it. So yeah, we're just like trying to like find the readers who are looking for those small little experiences, and it's hard to find like get a signal out through the noise. There's a lot of noise.
Mm.
A
Oh my
lot of,
gosh, so true. So
yeah.
true.
Yeah, and I notice, I mean, you do a lot of books, a lot of different books, but some of the people I watch, each time I watch, they're all talking about the same book, right? Because this is the new book coming out. And of course, you have to, as someone who needs views, you have to do the book that everybody's looking to know about, right?
Yeah.
And
Initially,
initially,
yes.
yeah,
Especially, and that's again through my research when I was trying to get bigger in BookTube. They don't know, people don't know you. Like they look at your thumbnail, they're like, who is that? But if
yeah,
you have a cover that they recognize or with an
right.
author, especially with an author, so initially I did more of that. And actually, it's interesting. I spoke to quite a few viewers that say, we really appreciate it when you're reading things that we're not getting from every other booktuber. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
sort of like, again, what you were saying, a headliner, like the lead in is the widely popular, something that people will recognize. And then, so that's how you initially get them to click on the thumbnail, for example. And then they come in and they see, oh, here are other things. And then, of course, they realize very rapidly for each booktuber whether that person fits into what they like or not. And
yeah,
for me, I know that I'm trying to focus more and more on historical romance because that's what people tend to come to me for. It was
yeah.
funny though. I had somebody come to me and they were like, I only come to you. The reason I come to you is for your sapphic romance reviews. And I'm like, I think I've only ever read four. Like,
Oh,
nothing
because
against
that's what grabbed
sapphic.
them.
Right. But I was like, that, how funny. Like, where
That's
did you got
great.
that from?
You've got a
Yeah.
niche.
Apparently.
Well, there aren't a lot of Sapphic reviewers out there. I'm actually doing a zine later this year, Sapphic So Saturn, and like trying to find people who will like talk about that is difficult. Like it's quite a niche.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And that's so funny because I have oh my gosh, I have somebody Lynn's McLeod she's in Scotland. She's going to be on my channel next month, and we're going to be talking about her ostentatious
Oh,
Jane
nice.
Austen twists
Hmm.
that are all sapphic.
Nice.
And then I'm going to have this summer, I'm going to have a gal who's doing it's like urban fantasy, and they're all sapphic.
I love
And
it.
I know, right? But they're all coming to me, and I'm like, I really
Hmm.
don't read that much sapphic. There's some of my favorite books are sapphic, but I'm not like sapphic. You know what I mean?
Right.
So funny.
Well, like if
But
you
yeah,
want, I'll send you Sapphics of Saturn if you're interested. I know you're going more historical, but like I would love to hear your take on
That
it.
one will be
Give me the
that one will
time.
be short. There'll only be a couple stories in it.
Yeah,
So
it'll just be a few stories.
yeah.
but yeah, I'm sorry. I took us so off course there, but my point is it's readers do like to hear about things that they're widely known, but booktubers I think are more worth their salt will realize too, like I need to try to dig deeper and not just read what everyone else is reading. I want to bring something new to the table. It's again another way to contribute, not only to the viewers, but also to the authors. I've been trying to court more indie authors too, because they deserve to have their voices heard,
Court us. we,
right?
we love you.
So it's not all about Rebecca Yarros, guys. I
Yeah.
mean,
My
Right.
God.
Right.
I'm just so tired of people talking about Rebecca Yarros.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
I remember I was looking for booktubers back in like fall for Midnight Mischief and Mistletoe, and
Yeah.
everybody was talking about Apple Cider Inn. I wanted to scream. It's like everybody was talking about Apple Cider Inn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
There
gosh.
are so many good writers out there, and it's hard to get to be heard, to be discovered, and all the things they tell authors to do. Yeah, you could do it. Being on Facebook or Instagram, that doesn't mean anybody's going to see you. It's a very difficult thing. And then if you're lucky enough to have a booktuber who's read you and has said, "Oh, hey, awesome." I mean,
Yeah.
that's how a lot of books have blown up. That's how a lot of these Elle Kennedy and Anna Huang and all them, that's how they ended up now being published in a trad deal, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah,
was
that's true.
book talkers and booktubers who discovered them and talked about them. And, everybody wishes to have that, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'd heard with Romantasy too. Like Romantasy was kind of indie. And
exactly.
now it's been pushed, so we're hoping the pendulum will swing the other way because whereas, historical was more trad and now it's gone, I think the best of it is starting to go indie.
I think
Like
so.
I'm
Yeah.
honestly more excited frequently for indie published historical romance authors than the trad published because again, they're so often pigeonholed and sort of boxed in with what they're allowed to do. I'm
Yeah.
still reading as many arcs as I can. In fact, I'm being more particular about accepting arcs that are widely published historical romances because even though sometimes they can feel more vanilla, and I think all of my historical people we've been talking about that, like it's not like the old bodice rippers which had their own issues, but
Mhm.
they're just not as adventurous. There's not as much meat on the bone, and unfortunately, but I want to make sure that I'm uplifting or using my platform to push the widely published historical romances so they're not all just going to disappear, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Are you are
That
you worried
said,
about the subgenre?
historical romance?
Yeah.
Well, so many of the historical romance authors have had their contracts dropped or not renewed, I think is probably a better way to put that,
Yeah.
since like 2024. I can't tell you how many people I know personally who have had to go indie or they've switched and now they're doing like a hybrid of historical fiction or historical romance and mysteries.
Mhm.
We're getting like historical romantasy with
Yes. Yeah.
Eva
I like
Lees and
steampunk.
Emily Howard.
I like romantic steampunk.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
steampunk is very
yeah.
romantic-y. Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
say that Bridgerton is a kind of historical romantasy. It's kind of a hot take.
It is. It is. That's so funny that you say that because we were just talking about that last week, like the clothes and all of that. I mean, it's not
Right. It's bright.
meant to
Yeah.
be
Well,
real.
let's go ahead and talk about Bridgerton because season four
Sure.
dropped at the beginning of the year, and it is a historical. It comes from a book, Julie Quinn's books. I just saw an interview with her when she talks about being approached, and they asked her. She was like, "Yeah, okay," and they asked her if she was willing to relinquish creative control, which is very scary for an author. I don't know. The first attempt to make Twilight was not Twilight. Like Bella was not Bella. She was
Okay.
athletic. And all the stuff
Wow.
that's not the book, which always makes me wonder if people love the book, why do you change it so much like that, right? I mean, we know they
Yeah,
have to adapt, but to change a
right.
character like Persuasion that came out last year, like that was a disaster.
Oh,
But
oh, oh,
anyway,
oh,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, anyway, she was ready to let it go because she's like, it's a deal, like it's a movie deal, like, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
cha-ching, right? I don't know if she
Big
went
cha-ching.
cha-ching, but it was a big deal. But she
Yeah.
also said she felt she could trust Shonda Rhimes. And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about Bridgerton, particularly season 4? Because that one I thought was really interesting.
Oh, I tell you. So I have not watched Bridgerton. I have to start with that.
Oh.
The reason I have not watched Bridgerton is the aforementioned children that I have that are
Hmm.
often around.
Ah,
And there's just never a good time for me to watch it. I watched Queen Charlotte,
yeah.
but I had to watch it on like double speed. And I
Oh,
knew I could
wow.
get through it. I know. Did you know that you could watch Netflix on double
I
speed?
did not.
Well, don't ever do that.
They must
It
sound
just
like chipmunks or
No,
something, right?
no,
honestly, well, try it for a second. You'll be surprised at how well it conveys, even like sped up. I was impressed. But that was the only way I could get through it. Uh,
yeah.
I will tell you what I have heard, and I will tell you also that I've read all of the Bridgertons. I read the prequel novels, which I actually like better than Bridgerton. Some of us still scratch our heads in the historical romance community as to why this specifically was adapted, because there are other series that are so much more beloved in the community. And quite frankly, we don't tend to talk too much about Julia Quinn, except in as far as it relates to the show. Honestly, that's not to knock her. She's a decent to good historical romance author, but she's not any, I don't think most of the time she's not like in a lot of people's top tens
I
from
think
what
it was
I've
because the
experienced.
book was left in a hotel room and she read it. And then she went out to rest. That was the story I heard. Chandra,
Oh,
the
oh
book
my
was just
gosh.
there and she picked it up and read it. Because I
Yeah.
agree, there's a lot
Yeah.
of authors that might have been.
Yeah.
Just looking at the show, if I had to hazard a guess, it looks to me like something in the book sparked Shonda Rhimes' imagination. It
Mm.
has that kind of look. It's very florid. It's
Yes.
lush, and so you
Yes.
can tell it really sparked something in her. I
Mm.
think probably especially that first book, like there's an energy to that first season, and
Yes.
like an energy to the look. Like I really think that like it just sort of like just became a whole world in
It did.
Shonda Rhimes' imagination.
For more so, and again, this is I did get to see the transcripts or whatever of the first season, some of the first season, and there's so much more going on in the first season than in the first book. I mean, there's very little happening. So yeah, they do pour so much more vibrancy into the series than is in the books themselves. I can tell you that from what I know, everyone loved the first and the fourth probably the most, those seasons. Whereas the second one, people were, it seems like people go either way. And then the third one is, from what I've heard again, the least loved.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that they opted to switch books 3 and 4. I don't
Yeah.
know if you heard anything about the
I don't
reason
know why they
behind
did
that.
it, except for maybe I don't know, except for
Yeah.
maybe people were. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I liked the first. I did like the second season. I think the chemistry between Anthony and Kate, those two actors, oh my God, like it was coming off the screen in exactly the way any person who loves romance would do it. And even now, when they make their little guest appearances, still see the sizzle between them.
Yes.
For me,
Yes.
the problem with the third is they were shoving way too many stories in there, and we didn't have
Mm.
enough of Penelope and Colin. I don't know why they changed it. Season 4, I enjoyed because we see another element of society, and the changes they made from the book, I was happy with because there was things in the book where I thought this could be problematic.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
thought Benedict's at sometimes was just like no. And they made changes in those parts where he wasn't where he was better. So
I'm glad to hear that because Benedict is probably my favorite. He and Violet are my two favorite characters from the series, the novels.
yeah,
And but yeah, in that particular book, I preferred Sophie's character to Benedict's hands
yeah,
down. So I'm
yeah,
glad to hear that they were able to make him more likable in the show.
yeah. There was like two scenes in that book where I just thought, wait, what? Like
Yeah.
jerk,
Yeah.
they did change those. But the basics of the story are still there. I liked in the show that they really highlighted how the rules of society that are supposed to make it so much better were hurting people. I mean, the line
Mm,
when Benedict tells his mom, you've told me to fall in love and get married, and now I have, and I can't because
mm,
society says I can't. Anthony tells him he can't. But then when Francesca, this is the season where, spoiler alert, Francesca's husband passes, where John passes.
yeah.
And in
Yeah.
the show, she thinks she's pregnant. So it is a little different from the book. She thinks
Oh,
she's pregnant,
okay.
and they want to examine her for the passage of the Kilmartin line. They want to
Right.
examine her to make sure. And Benedict is just trying to stop it, not do it, and then he doesn't succeed. And the next scene is them doing this
Horrific.
invasive
Yeah.
examine society for the good. This poor woman who just lost her husband is now having to. It was just, to me, this season had way more emotion and societal differences, and so to
Mm.
that part, I really thought it was really good compared to
If
the
you
other
watch any season, watch season 4. It's really
season.
good. It's
Yeah,
really, really good. My favorite.
yeah.
I like it better
Awesome.
than season 1. It's hard to get me to a place where I like anything better than season 1.
Well, it's
This
the
is
first.
great to
It's
hear.
the first, right? The first time you see anything. I did hear that they were looking at doing Violet's story, Violet and
Yes,
Edmund. So that would be great.
that would be good.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah.
I know at
So
some point I'm going to watch all of these. I don't know if I'm going to wait and binge them all before the last one comes out. I don't know. But I need to find time. I'm always saying like I need to watch.
Yeah,
we're
hard.
gonna do a sapphic season, it looks like, because Michael is Michaela.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. And
so that'll
that
be
was the other
interesting.
thing that I heard that I don't know what you had heard, and do let me know. I'm very curious, but that there's what I have heard is that the public outcry has been primarily negative because of Francesca's issues with conception and fertility. For them to give her a sapphic romance, it's sort of it, it sort of undercuts the
Yeah,
weight
because she's supposed
of
to have two or three kids, isn't she? I think in the book she has two or three children with Michael. So yeah. So
right.
I don't know how to do that. And I also wonder about Eloise because we haven't seen what's his face since season one. And he's not very likable anyway. So I'm like, let's get a new guy. Let's get a new guy for Eloise.
Please, please. Yeah.
No, we saw him in season 2.
Did we?
Yeah, briefly. He's a nerd. I love that. You can kind of see him doing well with Eloise. I mean, they got to bring him back in. We're gonna see him again. But then we have the problem of having too many stories going, right? Like it's always distracting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're trying,
Yeah.
they're setting up the next thing usually. I mean, in three with Colin and Penelope, they had to set up Francesca's marriage. And then, Violet seeing somebody and, all this stuff. So I just didn't feel like we had enough Colin and Penelope. I was disappointed in that. So,
Yeah.
Honestly, the problem for me because they're doing the group of people more and more, and I felt like it worked fine in season 4, and so it leads me to wonder if the problem was that they just hadn't set up their story well enough, because they are friends to lovers,
mhm.
and I don't know if it's the chemistry between the actors. I don't know what it is, but I felt like there's just something missing there from that story because when they continued with the kind of entourage of acting and with all these different storylines in 4, but it worked. Like it was still fine. We had all these servants running around. We had all these former people and their romances happening, but I didn't find it distracting in the way that I did in season 3. So I'm not sure if it's if it's the presence or something about that particular story that shouldn't have been swapped.
Well,
Because
coming after Kate and Anthony, I mean,
yeah.
their chemistry is amazing.
Hmm.
It is
Well,
amazing.
is Colin more likable in the show than in the book? I would ask because that was
What do you
my
think, Jenna?
problem with him, but I hadn't gotten that from the show. So perhaps they
Mm.
make it more likable.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's kind
So
of a
that
puppy
could be
dog.
the problem.
I
And
wasn't convinced by season
Penelope
3 of
in
his
the
growing up.
in the
That
books,
seemed
Penelope has a glow up type of thing, right? And in the show, he loved her just the way she was, even though she was still kind of short and round. And that's different from the book. And that was nice to see as well.
Hmm.
So even though she did have a little bit of a glow up, but that was just they stopped putting her in orange dresses and
Yeah, so you gets to pick her own trousseau and her own dresses and her own colors, which is
she
important
used her
because she's
lady
a
whistle
redhead
down
and
money.
she should not be wearing bright yellow.
Yeah.
Looks like a flower. I feel so bad for her. And
Oh,
she hates that color. She's like, "Oh, it's very yellow."
Yeah.
very few people I know can pull off bright yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
She is not one of them. Bless her heart.
oh my gosh, too funny.
Tara, do you want to go to book recommendations
Oh
or?
my goodness, yes, like book. Oh, all right. So normally we try to do book recommendations, try to find out what each host is reading and see what they recommend.
Oh boy, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Start with you, B.
Yep.
Oh,
You get to go.
let's see. Well, currently I am reading Once Smitten, Twice Shy by Chloe Leese. It's
Ah,
the third book of the Wilmot Sisters trilogy. We're doing it for
mm.
book group for the Sweeney Scone Society in April.
She has
And
the brothers book. Isn't she the one with the brothers?
yes, the Bergman brothers.
Date
Yes.
brothers? Yeah,
I
yeah.
adore the
I
Bergman
know
brothers.
you do, and it's on my list because
Oh,
you kept
yes.
talking about them, so I wrote it down. Even my daughter's like, "Yeah, those are good."
Yeah, and that's another great example. And I'm not going to get on my soapbox again, don't worry. But it's another great example of unconditional love and being loved for who you are, regardless of what sort of disabilities you may have or flaws you may have. I mean, we see it runs the gamut. And in the book that I'm currently reading, in Once Smitten, Twice Shy, which is again the third and final book of the Wilmot Sisters trilogy, we have our hero who has autism and sensory issues. And then our heroine has connective tissue disorder with chronic pain.
Hmm.
So we get to see them navigate life that way and still be able to find love and be absolutely lovable. We see the ensemble cast doing their thing and being wonderful. It's great to see, the other two couples so very happy. So I do love Chloe Leese for that. This is a modern take on Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, which is really fun.
Cool.
And it's funny. I mean, I've read Twelfth Night. It's been a minute, but one of my favorite movies is She's the Man, which I don't know if
Mhm.
you're familiar with Amanda Bynes. And so,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
frequently as they're trying to emulate Twelfth Night, I'm mostly going back to She's the Man in my mind. Like the characters are named the same characters from Twelfth Night, and
Right.
it's
It's
fun.
it's like no adaptation of Emma will ever be as good as Clueless.
Right.
That's
That's right.
exactly it. That is exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I've been enjoying that one. And yeah, so I would say, that's also a recommendation of mine if you enjoy unconditional love, steam, great writing. Yeah. So there you go.
Getting recommendations from a professional book recommender here is actually quite a
Yeah.
treat. What about you, What about you, Jenna?
I just finished a book called A Matter of Taste by Nikki Davenport, which I picked up at the Suffolk Book Festival. She tried to push the first book on me, and I was going to buy it till she said it ended at a cliffhanger. And I was like, no, ma'am, I don't do
No,
those. And
thank
they're
you.
like, well, buy the second book. And I'm like, but then I have to commit to reading 800 pages. And that may never happen. But she had this little novella. She has an island. She's a BIPOC author. She has this made up island in the Caribbean where there's a queen is the main story. But this little novella I got was her stylist and her chef, and they're both older, a little bit older. It was really cute. I enjoyed it. But then I picked up, and I started reading last night, Devious Delectable Decades, because I'm in it for one. But it is an anthology, and there's like 27 stories in it. And it all had like up to 15,000 words. I tried to order the
Whoa.
book, it was $40, but it never came. So finally I just downloaded the ebook. And these stories are you could pick any time in the history of the world. and write a story about it. So, seeing all the different times and the types of stories and all many of the authors, I don't know. One of them was at Suffolk actually, because I saw the little sign and I was like, I'm in that. Anyway, so I started reading that and have enjoyed that so far. I read a couple of stories and then I read my own because, I'm an author that needs to read, how does it look in the book?
Yeah.
What typos did I miss?
Oh no.
How fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I need to take a look at DB's Delectable Decades. Did they ever get any sci-fi romance in there? Have you seen any yet?
I haven't seen any.
Oh boy. Well, I guess it's not in the history of the world, it's in the future history of the world, right?
There could be a future. I haven't gotten that. There's 27 stories.
It's 20, that thing must be huge. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I read a lot of authors on Substack, as you know. So I just finished The Thessaly Affair by Ernest Semper, which was really, really good. I loved the ending, and sent Paris some comments about that because it was its first pass through Substack, so it was sort of like, well, you need a spicy scene here and all that stuff. I've been reading, oh gosh, what is it called? Shadow of Betrayal by Ava Leclerc. Been getting my feet wet with that. That just started serializing. And I've been reading Jenna's book, With This Ring I Thee Kill, part of the Valentine Mystery series, which
Oh,
has been
fun.
fun.
Oh
Good
my
time.
goodness.
Yeah.
Love
And a
it.
book on Bushido for research purposes.
Bushido.
Ooh, have fun.
Oh, that's
And
fun.
started my own, like another, like a sci-fi romance story that I've been writing called Vox Protocol. I'm probably going to serialize that to Substack.
Yeah,
Very
we're
cool.
trying to bring in
Thank you.
sci-fi romance a little bit more because it's one of the subgenres it hasn't been a whole lot of, unless you count Ice Planet Barbarians, but
That's a new cover. I need to get a copy of the new cover.
Oh, I have all 10 of the ones. I love me some Ice Planet Barbarians.
I'm so glad to hear that. The new cover looks beautiful. Have you seen it?
Which one?
There's a new cover. It's gorgeous. It was illustrated. It looks really good.
So you're not, are you talking about something newer than
That's the
this?
one. Yeah, yes, that looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the first, I mean, no,
Oh, it's
obviously,
gorgeous.
I
Yeah.
know, they're all, and the colors, and
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, this one is my favorite because is hearing impaired,
Mhm.
and she is saying "I love you" in sign language on the cover.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love that.
Love that. So, and this is Barbarians Touch, the seventh book of Ice Planet Barbarians. But yeah, they've put the first 10 with just gorgeous, gorgeous covers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so glad that Ruby Dixon exists and there's
Oh,
something to follow.
yes.
There's not a
Do
lot
it.
of us out there, and people who think that sci-fi romance is just monster banging and shifter romance, and I have to be like, no, no, it's not. It's not.
That's right.
I mean,
We're there
it's
to
not that
tell
there's
you.
anything wrong with that, but it's not
Right.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's not all
Yeah.
tentacles.
Yeah.
It's not even mostly tentacles.
So romance will do what it did to fantasy. They will do it also with science fiction, right?
There you go.
We're going to dominate it all.
That's right.
I mean, romance is moving into horror as well. So there you go.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, B, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm so excited to have talked to you because I love watching your videos. Your personality is so great. You're always so positive and so fun. So thank you so much for joining us
Oh
today.
my gosh, this was my pleasure. I love chatting with you, and I cannot wait to see what you guys have coming forth in the future. This is really exciting. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. And well, we are Tender and Tempting Tales. You can find us on Substack. That's Tender and Tempting Tales at substack.com. You can find us on Instagram. That's Tender Tempting Tales without the and if you want to find us on Instagram. Of course, we have our readers group on Facebook. You can find us there. That's the Tender and Tempting Tales readers group. And until then, Jenna?
Until next time, peace, love, and happily ever after.